Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt and welcome back to another Short War video, and today we have very big news coming out of both Ukraine and also Russia. But specifically, we have very big news coming out of Chechnya because down in Grozny, a very large gas station caught on fire and exploded in spectacular fashion, and we have the video evidence from that showing a massive oil tanker barrel being thrown across the town, which was absolutely insane to see. And also, we're getting more word that Ukraine's conducted more drone attacks on Russian oil depots, this time in occupied Luhansk inside of Ukraine, and we do have the videos from that. And also we're hearing that the Russian Air Force has lost yet another fighter jet, and we have all the backup and evidence for that as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first piece of news for the day, which goes to Anton Gerashenko. And like I mentioned a moment ago, Russian Telegram channels are reporting that a gas station on Muhammad Ali Avenue, I don't know why they're calling it Muhammad Ali Avenue in Chechnya, but this is in Grozny, it exploded, and the causes are unknown as of right now, but the explosion was so large that apparently 2 children and 2 adults were killed in the explosion, and one of the fatalities reportedly turned out to be a man who decided to take a video of the burning tank. So let's take a look at this footage. It's absolutely insane to see, and let's take a peek. So right here, you're about to see right there the explosion happened, and that is an oil tank flying at the guy actually recording. And I don't know if this guy was actually taken out by the oil tank because somebody was a fatality from recording this event right here. But that is crazy. Like, that is the actual part that exploded right there at the gas station, and it went flying off from the scene like an absolute projectile. So that is some kind of like movie style stuff happening right there, and it went flying right across the town, and it landed way down the street from where it exploded. So absolutely insane to see. And once again, we really don't know the cause of this explosion. We do know that Kadyrov just declared a blood feud against members of the Russian lawmaking body yesterday, so I'm not sure if this is connected to that somehow, and we'll simply have to wait for more evidence to come out to find out what really happened with this. It could have been maybe just an accident, or it could have been maybe a deliberate act of sabotage. But nonetheless, we're moving into our next article here, and this one goes to Live Ukraine Map. And in this post right here, we actually don't have any more information about the actual explosion, but we do have more angles of the explosion itself. So let's take a look at our first video here. So right here you can see it looks like there's some flames coming out of the gas station, and there was the catastrophic explosion, and you can actually see that oil tank being flown off to the left right there, and that apparently was where that other guy was standing on the ground behind this building right here on the street. So it appears whatever happened here, there was a small fire that broke out, and then it led to a catastrophic explosion which sent the whole gas station up, and it looks like it's almost in the center of town. So once again, very strange, and I wonder exactly what caused this fire, because it could have been sabotage. We just simply don't have enough information right now to know exactly what happened, but very interesting. And also we have one more video of the explosion, which we're going to watch right here, which shows yet another angle. So right there you can see there is the explosion behind those buildings. That gives you a really good idea of how the scale of this explosion was. It was massive, and also there were some people down here on the street which apparently started to get singed by the blaze. It was that hot and also that large. They had to start running away not to get burned up by that fire. So that was crazy all the way around, and that's actually all the video evidence we have of this explosion at the moment, but I'm sure we will be hearing more about it, and we will be here to report on it. But with that, we're jumping into our next post, and this one's going to go to War Translated. And today's been explosions galore, and we're hearing right here in this post that the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine has confirmed the attack on a fuel storage facility in the occupied town of Rovenki in Luhansk region. And also it says here that oils and petroleum products were stored at this base, which were supplied among other things to meet the needs of the Russian army. So we're about to watch the video right here to show you how large this fire was at this oil depot, because it seems like Ukraine's been on an absolute campaign to destroy every oil depot they can find that the Russians have control of. But one thing you will recall is I always am notorious for bashing the Russian fire department because they don't know how to put out oil fires, because they typically put water on them, which actually makes them worse. But I think for the first time ever, we might actually have a video here that the Russians might have learned from their previous mistakes, and it looks like they may now be using foam to put out these fires. So let's take a look, and y'all let me know down in the comments below, is this foam or is it water? Because it's nighttime and it's really hard to tell, but let's take a look. And right here you can see one of the large barrels of oil right here in Luhansk being put out by the Russians. And once again, this is Russian controlled, but as you can tell right here, that could be foam actually. It looks like there's foam accumulating on the ground right there, unless that is water. I can't really tell because of course it is pretty dark and the fire is the only thing illuminating the area, but it looks like the Russians might have learned from their mistakes and they are putting it out maybe with foam, not really sure, but there you go, a big tank on fire. And also here in this other photo, we can see the extent of this attack right right here, which was carried out apparently by drones, and you can see that the large part right here in the center was taken out. So the fact that the Russians are apparently using foam this time, from what I can tell, they might be able to stop the entire facility from burning down to the ground, and they might be able to get it under control before it does have a catastrophic damage to this plant. So very interesting indeed to see this. But with that, we're jumping into our next article, which goes to OSINT Technical. And also, like I mentioned earlier as well, we are getting word that the Russian Air Force, the adjacent mill blogger channel called Fighter Bomber, is reporting the loss of a Russian Su-34 fullback. And the translation here in the post from Telegram from Fighter Bomber is "Earth is Sky, brothers." I have no idea what that means. That sounds like maybe they're losing their mind or something like that. I have no idea what "Earth is Sky" means. Typically, Fighter Bomber says "Eternal Flight, brothers." That's typically what they say, which is also equally cringy, but at least that one makes somewhat sense. "Earth is Sky, brothers" literally means nothing. But right here we see that the Su-34 has apparently been taken out according to the Russian Telegram channels, and they would probably have no reason to lie about their aircraft being taken out, because that would be a very big embarrassment just to simply make that up just for propaganda reasons. So once again, it looks like one has been taken out, but of course, with this being a Russian channel, we are going to wait for more confirmation of this before reporting it as a full fact. But we are hearing preliminary reports of it being taken out. So with that, we're jumping into our next post, which goes to Null Reports. And many people have been asking in the last few days, what is going on in the Kursk region? Because we're not really hearing much happening in Kursk right now. And of course, Kursk is in mainland Russia. That is the area that Ukraine went into to actually try to take some of the mainland Russian territory, either for a land-for-land exchange or to simply go in there to distract the Russians to get some gains on the Ukrainian front line. But we are seeing here that apparently a failed Russian assault has occurred in the Kursk region, and we're getting footage from the Korn Group showing here that they are indeed taking heavy losses on the Russian side in their own territory. So let's take a look at this video. And right here you can see there is some Russian equipment right here on this roadway, and it looks like they didn't even have time to get it off the roadway. It's currently right here in the middle and the side of it, and you can see the large V right there indicating the offensive operation the Russians were undertaking. And also there's another vehicle with a similar marking off to the right of it, or the left of it actually. And you can also see it looks like a Buhanka maybe burned out over here on the side of the street, and you can see it is freshly burning. So this just happened, and this is allegedly a failed offensive on the part of the Russians in their own territory. So we will be reporting more on this later this afternoon on our Nightly War News stream, because of course the Kursk region is crucial to Ukraine's effort to be able to take some territory inside of mainland Russia. So we will be taking a look at this later, and very promising signs right now coming out of that area of Russia for Ukraine's benefit. But with that, we're jumping into our next article, and this one goes to Nexta. And we're also getting word that there is apparently a peace summit upcoming with the Russians and also the Ukrainians as well, and the head of Zelensky's office is saying that the Russian representatives may attend the second peace summit, which is coming up, of course, and they will be presented with Ukraine's victory plan. So this right here is interesting. It'll be one of the very first times that we've seen the Ukrainians and the Russians sit down together to actually discuss a peace proposal or a victory plan. Now, keep in mind that I have no faith whatsoever the Russians are going to agree to any of this, because the Ukrainians are sticking to their previous proposals. They want to keep all their land and they want to push the Russians out. And of course, I really seriously doubt Vladimir Putin is going to agree to that, because his ego will not allow that to happen. He is going to keep going deeper into this hole, which is Ukraine, and the huge mistake he made by invading Ukrainian territory will have to probably be seen all the way through until complete defeat on the Russian side. But here we are seeing the potential for a sit down between the two sides for one of the first times ever, and we'll have to see if this actually comes to fruition or if this is simply some talk by both sides that may actually never happen. We'll simply have to wait and see, but it is in the works. And with that, we're jumping into our next post here, which goes to Apex News. And once again, we always have a little bit of news in the video here from Israel, because there are still things we're waiting for there, mainly the Israeli response to the Iranian attack on Israeli soil. And so far we haven't seen that yet, but we are getting some more word about what it could look like. And we are hearing for a fact that apparently Jordan, which is a country right there sandwiched in between Israel and also Iran, they are now saying that it'll protect its airspace from any unauthorized intrusion regardless of the origin, says a Jordanian official to CNN. So right now we are hearing that Jordan is getting a little bit concerned here about the potential for their airspace being used as a battleground, and they really don't want that to happen. I'm not really sure if they're getting scared because Iran's making threats that anybody that allows Israel to use their airspace for basically to launch attacks, then Iran will decide to attack them in return as retaliation. I'm not sure if maybe Jordan is getting scared because of those threats that Iran's lobbing around, or simply Jordan doesn't want their airspace to be used for war. I'm not really sure at this point, but Jordan is basically saying we don't want any fighting over our airspace, and that is pretty much the final say on that issue. Very interesting to hear. But with that, we're jumping into our next article, which goes to Apex as well. And in this post right here, we're actually getting some word from Iran, and apparently Iran has informed the United States and some countries in the Middle East that it will retaliate against any new attack by Israel, contrary to some of the false news, says a source in Tehran with knowledge of the diplomatic discussions. So right now we're hearing that Iran is once again flexing its very small muscles against the very mighty and powerful Israel right now, which is probably not a very good and wise thing to do, because once again, remember that Israel has some very powerful friends, including the USA, which is currently in the region right now in the Middle East quite heavily with all of our ships and also fighter jets. Iran is really not in a position to really yap, and right now they're yapping to the extreme, so I'm not really sure what they're planning on here, but it sounds like they plan on retaliating and escalating after Israel finally does respond. So we're waiting to see if that's also going to be the case as well, but right now Iran is once again running his mouth like usual. But with that, folks, that is actually our last post of this video. So I hope you found today's video informative. Not a whole bunch of news, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you right now, but I'm sure more news will be coming out between now and the stream tonight, so be sure to join us tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern for the nightly war news stream right here on our YouTube channel. And also be sure to subscribe to the channel as well to be up to date on all the news as it happens. And also, if you want to go check out our Twitter page, our Twitter handle is @It'sTheEnforcer on Twitter, and that is of course a very good place to go to be kept up to date minute by minute on every single occurrence in the war and around the world. So with that, if you also want to support the channel financially, we do have a Patreon page, and the link is in the description below for Patreon, where you can go over there and sign up for a monthly membership. And of course, we are largely crowdfunded by the viewers, and we always say this, but we really do mean it. It is the viewers that make all this possible, and we truly appreciate every bit of support that y'all provide to this channel, because we love providing the news, and we thank you all for making it possible. But with that, we'll see y'all tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, and bye-bye for now.